So, thank you very much, Alex, for joining today. So, we are very lucky to have Alex Whipham from Landbay joining us. Landbay is a big intermediary mortgage lender, and we're very grateful for your time, Alex. I know you're very busy. Just before we get started, just obviously want to be clear today is a general kind of purpose chat and for information purposes. So, none of the information that we discussed today should be relied upon from advice. And of course, Landbay and Alex, who could self as well, are not providing any advice in this session. We're just talking around some of the things to be considered around buy-to-lets. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I guess just on a final point then, Alex, I always like to sometimes finish on some top 5 points or steps to consider to give people kind of things to take away with. So bear in mind everything we've said today. Let's say I was just starting off to become a landlord, so my first time landlord. What would be the 5 steps or key points you think that I should be focusing on to make sure I get off to the best possible start?
Sure. So my key one would always be education. Ensure you do your research and your due diligence. If you are wishing to buy a property and use it as a HMO, you need to make sure you have at least a broad awareness of the rules, regulations, and red tape that comes with owning a HMO, so you don't get caught out effectively. You're never going to know 100% of everything, which is why you need to lean on the correct support network, which you can employ: brokers, accountants, solicitors, architects, planning consultants, and so on, just to name but a few. Certainly consider a membership of some description with a landlords association, or at the very least join forums, groups, social media groups to try and ask questions, but make sure the information that you're receiving is from a credible source. Don't just join a Facebook forum, ask a question. Anybody who's a keyboard warrior gives you a piece of information, and therefore you think that's gospel truth, and you go and make a mistake, because that person will not respond when you try and sue them for bad advice, I can assure you. So
Yeah, that.
consider a membership or something. Often they are inexpensive. I'm personally a member of a particular association that I pay around £75 a year. And that gives me access to various things such as AST templates, help with issuing Section 8s or Section 21s in the event of issues with tenants. It also gives me access to e-learning to educate me on things like rules, regulations. You can speak to their legal helpline to ask about how do you handle tenants' data, how do you do reference checks. They also provide templates for carrying out inventory assessments before you check in and check out tenants. Personally, my opinion is you make that money back within month one of your rental. So that's certainly something to consider. You need to make sure you've consulted with a good broker, good accountant, good solicitor. A broker like yourself will go through mortgage options. You'll be able to talk clients through, how to make sure their credit profile is strong enough to get access to the correct finance products. So, another top tip before you become a landlord is engage with people before you start
Yeah.
spending money on buying properties, carrying out building surveys, putting offers in, and possibly wasting yours or other people's time. And absolutely, before you buy, make sure you fully understand what your end goal is and what your objectives are, and ensure you buy in the correct ownership structure from the very beginning. Because if you're planning on having an enormous portfolio and you have the plans in place to do that, and the financial means to do that, and you buy the first 5 in your personal name, and then after 2 years you realize that was a big mistake,
Mm.
what do you do then? What happens to those 5 properties? They are already in your personal name. So massive tip is speak to a property tax advisor to get the correct advice from an individual who knows what they're doing in this arena, so they can really talk you through the pros and cons for you as an individual as well. So education, certainly consider some form of membership, or at
Yep.
least a forum of some description that's reputable. Have a look at possibly things like e-learning modules from reputable sources. Yes, you can lean on things like YouTube. There's some great information on YouTube from certain individuals. But again, make sure they are credible before you capture what they're saying and believe it to be true. Find a good power team, broker, accountant, solicitor, and make sure you're you're buying into the correct structure from the very first property.
Yeah, and I think you also touched on there as well. Who is your customer? Know your customer. Who are you appealing to? Who do you want? Is it a student? Is it professional? Once you know who you're trying to market to, then that should then lead back to then the type of property that you're looking for. And then, as you say, the education is just a basic. You need to educate yourself so you know what you're doing. The membership, so you can have that additional support and access. AST examples, so tenancy contract examples is really important. The correct structure, and as you say, they're around a property tax specialist. That doesn't mean just sending an email to your bookkeeper. Should I buy in a limited company or not? Yes or no. Actually engage with someone who deals with property taxes and how they relate to you personally, and go through those options in more detail. And then, as you say, the dream team around you, a really good solicitor, a really good broker, and an accountant who's dealing with the property tax side. And I think with all that, you're on the best chance of success, aren't you?
That's right, absolutely.
Alex, thank you so much for your time today, from joining us. We know you're very, very busy over there at Land Bay, and I must have a very full diary. So thank you so much for giving your time to talk through those. Thank you so much, and we'll speak again soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. Take care.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, please ask below and hit subscribe below so you don't miss out on our next episode.